got next. Oh, you? Dude. My dog. Yeah. Man, good luck tonight, man.
All right, so Raw didn't really leave us with a whole bunch of stuff in our stocking or whatnot. You know, hey, I get it. You know, let them have time off. Don't really do any tripping. I understand. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a previous taping. But still, wasn't too much here. And it's like, okay, hey, still didn't kill 2 hours on my day. Or an hour and a half when you fast forward. Anyway, I will say, this was a really good crowd because I was like, they gave enough excitement for things and for people that lately here has been kind of like, who like, yay, somebody. So I was like, it was a really good crowd. Let's just get out of the, you know, the lettuce and tomato of everything because, like Big E, as we'll talk about, we about that meat. So, Dexter Lumis fought the Miz. Basically, with no contest, once Final Testament came out, then the Wyatts came out, and this was really nothing. I was like, they sort of alluded to that Dexter and Miz has fought before, but not necessarily why. I was like, this is the part of the feud stuff that I'm like, I'm not really here for. Them doing not necessarily with the Miz being all scared, and it's like we got a plan, and the plan just for them to get jumped all the time. I'm just like, nah, if you gonna do this properly, I'm down with like Lumis and Gacy versus like AOP, old Red Bull, I forgot his name, but you get what I'm saying. Like I don't know. It just ain't for me right now. It just ain't hitting. Maybe it'll hit New Year's, maybe. Anyway, so we had another Dom versus Priest match where they just basically was hiding all over, and Priest just sort of knows that they are because it's like even the Cabal now, which is like we've seen them fight to the point that it's kind of like, yo, I'm not gonna lie. Why didn't they just stay the Terror Twins? If Priest is still going to go after Finn, they're still going to be doing it because he got beat down, and then he got help with the War Raiders, and so now that's going to be still 4-on-3, but whatever. They get their I would like Judgment Day get their ass beat by Priest alone. So just why they just didn't stay the Terror Twin? They could have still stayed the Terror Twins by doing their own thing when they're going after the same people. And then when it comes to I was like January 6th, it could just sort of be done with. It could be, but whatever. We had that. I was like, I'm gonna throw this one in here. I was like, well, let's get to the Chad and Akira Tozawa. I was like, I know we're building up to Chad and Otis, and I wish they would have done it back when it was hot, but that doesn't mean that you can't come back to it, and that's fine. But I was like, you could have gave Akira Tozawa a little bit more offense than that. Like, he is actually a good wrestler. And I was like, I'm not saying that in a way where it's like everybody's like, oh, everybody's a good wrestler. I mean, like, no, he's a pretty good wrestler. Like, we've had him before he basically joined Alpha Academy when he sort of looked like, when he was putting on moves and stuff like that. He was just small and just get slung around for the benefit of whoever he was facing. But I was like, he could wrestle. And I was like, with Chad Gable, I was like, they could do stuff that would be exciting where it looks like, yes, Akira, and then at the end, pretty much. And then we just sort of built up the Otis gyrating or whatever. And with that, I also think they also mixed out Maxine being somebody or whatever, but I'll do that for another thing. I was like, the Seth sit down. Like, I know you had to match it with CM Punk, but yo, if they're just not out here just promoing and just talking crap to each other, this ain't it. Cause I was like, he said it in there, and I was like, he said the same thing he's been saying, but he didn't say anything else on top of that, which is kind of like, it was just, I was like, Seth and Jackie Redmond were both looking great. That's all I got from it. We could have did without that, but hey, might have been already off on vacation. I mean, not vacation, but you know, holidays. We got Iyo Sky as a replacement for for Kairi Sane, and I sort of like that. I sort of didn't. Like, it's cool that it was Sonya. Maybe they could build some type of thing from it. It was like, I will say that I was like, I'm surprised just because I was like, since it's Lyra, I was like, wow, you were going to have Iyo, and it's like, so you're gonna have Lyra lose to Iyo, or Iyo gonna win, which is gonna be like, then it's Zoe. And, like, that's where the matchup's going to be, like, who's going to actually win out of this. I do think it makes it interesting from that point of view. It being Iyo is just kind of like how Shayna said, like, she just lost. She got put in here, fine. But is she going to win the whole thing, or is she also just going to lose again? And is she going to lose to Lyra? Like I said, lose to Dakota or Stark? Or are you going to put the championship on her, which now she's mid-card regulated, when I was like, she's really main event star. Not saying that she can't eventually do that, but not right now. So that makes that a little tricky. I don't know who else they would have snagged, but I was like, surprising pick as far as like winning. Cause I was like, since it's triple threat, you could have anybody win pretty much. But to the main part, let's go with New Day that is still getting booed out the building. So they tried to come in, and I was like, they're talking to Joe and talking to Wade about how basically y'all supposed to be unbiased, but y'all over here giving y'all one-sided version of things. They can't get a word out. I was like, they're getting like Dom level of heat, basically, where it's like you can't even speak, but they're just able to muster through it or whatnot. And they're basically saying that the fans are ungrateful because, I mean, well, like, basically just like, hey, we could have beat Big E's ass, but we didn't. We could have did so much worse. And on top of that, hey, I brought my mom here, who came all the way here to come see her baby boy. Well, not me, but you get it. And then he went over to his mom and thinking that his mom was like, hey, I don't understand these people. Like, come on, mom. And then his mom, you could just tell her reaction was like, I'm ashamed of you. I can't. What would have been funny though, I was hoping they would do it, but they didn't. Is that like Kofi tried to go over more for the hug, and she just, that would have been great. They didn't do it, but that would have been great if she would have just put her hand out the same way that they did Big E, so it could be felt. The crowd would have jumped more into it than her just having to be. Now you got this sweet old lady over here having to walk all the way back, and I'm just like, man, that looked tiring as hell just to do for this one little part of a bit. But later on, we got him being confronted by Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio being like, hey, you're right, should have been locker room leader, let me try to mend fences. I was like, I don't think you did what Big E was right, but hey, you got to apologize to everybody. And they're like, we got to apologize to who? For what? We ain't do nothing wrong? Nah, we ain't doing that. And Ray's like, don't say I didn't warn you. And Xavier's like, I'll pop that mask right off if you can't hear. And he's like, all right, well, get used to New Day sucks. And then he walks away. Now, let's get to the whole Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn bit. I thought this was probably Sami Zayn's best rah, I'm a good guy type of speech. All the other ones that he do is kind of just like, okay, I'm tired of hearing your spiel. This one was more so of, I was like, it's better. I was like, it engaged the crowd like in a way to me than just being like, you Sammy's right. It was actually engaging and stuff like that by basically saying, Drew, your problems are felt by everybody else. We didn't know that about family members being lost and stuff like that, but we also get hurt. We also have loss, and we still got to come to work every day. I was like, all these people out here got to deal with this stuff also every day, and they just got to keep on going and chucking and surviving. And he's like, yeah, but none of y'all get to, like, they ain't going to leave people, I was like, their place in Boston, which is kind of right. I mean, like, for, like, people in their towns and stuff like that, not just Boston. Sammy is like, you sort of stay here. I was like, where it's like, I gotta go on a flight, go across seas and stuff like that. But I thought it was really, I was like, yeah, Sammy, this is a pretty good, thing. And then it went to the place I didn't really care for. It's a Sammy being like, hey, we need a fight. And it's like, I'm glad they pointed out that it's just like, why? I keep on beating your ass. Why do you want to keep on fighting? And he's like, you might have my number, but I gotta keep on fighting. I was like, no, you don't. Then Jay came out, and I was like, he can. And I was like, I mean, we've had that as well too, and basically, Sammy ended up having a match. He ended up losing against Drew. I was like, started getting his ass beat more. Jay comes and helps, is able to help, but the Bloodline comes out, and Drew just lets it go, and then they just start beating both of their asses until they both is down in the ring, and the tribal chief is able to stand tall. And that was Raw. Pretty fast, pretty straight through, not much. Just enough to be like, hey, we here next week. And it's like, we know. And it's like, all right, Merry Christmas. You too. Anyway, with all that being said, that's it. Happy holidays. Peace. I'm out.
Yeah, we party till the sun up. You ain't liking what we doing? Shut up. You ain't liking what we doing? Shut up.